Hey guys, today I wanted to talk a little bit about a well-known farming strategy that many players generally deploy at the beginning of the league in order to build up the funds they need to play all the cool builds that you see in the current meta. Even though I've known about this strategy for quite a while now, I've never really gotten around to documenting the types of profit one can expect to gain from this strategy. So for this video, I figured I'd give it a shot and record some numbers on what a player can typically expect to make from farming Shaper Guardians. Now the way I plan to do this strategy is by rushing the Shaper Guardians in order to minimize the amount of time on each map and maximize the amount of Guardian encounters I can complete within a given period of time. Taking this into account, there's definitely far greater profits that can still be gained by completing the various encounters I skipped, like the ultimatums, all the temples, and so on. The next thing to take note of is that I farmed all of my Shaper Guardian maps with the remnants of the past and the Guardian's Aid Atlas passives. This made it so that each map I ran would contain 2 Shaper Guardians instead of 1, with a decent chance that both of them would drop their respective fragments. These fragments would end up making the bulk of our profits, which I will get more into in just a second. Lastly, it is worth mentioning that this farming strategy is not very hardcore viable unless you have a very strong Juggernaut or Champion build. A high-end Bladefall Blade Blast Raider could probably handle this strategy in hardcore too. However, since I was playing a basic Spectre build with not much in terms of survivability, I did die quite a few times throughout my farming session. So let's get straight into the loot data. Over the course of the 16 Shaper Guardian maps that I ran, I made around 530 chaos worth of profits in liquid drops such as the Guardian Fragments, Maven's Invitations, and currencies like Exalted Orbs and Alterations. I decided to exclude the value of items like Essences and regular non-influence maps from my profits since I generally don't sell these items anyway. That being said, this farming strategy still yielded quite a lot in terms of profits. Since it took me a little less than an hour to run all these Guardian maps, we can round up and say that this farming strategy can generate roughly 530 chaos per hour, or 4.6 exalts per hour. Even if we were to exclude the exalted orb drop from the calculations, these runs would still yield over 400 chaos worth of profits per hour. Not to mention, the drop rates of exalted orbs these days appear to be higher than compared to how things were long ago, at least from my perspective. So if you're looking for a strategy that generates around 3 to 4 exalts worth of liquid loots per hour, farming Shaper Guardians is definitely a good way to do it, assuming your build is strong enough to defeat 2 Guardians at a time. The build that I ran in order to farm my Shaper Guardian maps was a pure cold Spectre Necromancer. My Spectre of choice was the Syndicate operatives from the safe houses spawned by running betrayal encounters with Jun. Since Syndicate operatives have such a fast cooldown on their spell, which can shotgun with greater volley support linked, this gives them both great clearing capabilities and single target damage. Convert their physical damage to cold with Triad Grips and they become a very viable boss killer when combined with the Hatred Aura, Elemental Equilibrium, and Frostbite Curse. The passive playstyle of this build is what made it a very attractive build for me to collect data on strategies such as farming Shaper Guardians and so on. Its playstyle allows me to focus purely on rushing straight to the end of the map without stopping, which in turn reduces my runtimes, thereby improving my rates of currency gain. However, by no means is my current setup anywhere near min-max, but for those of you who are curious and want to look at it in more detail, I will leave a POB link in the description. So it goes without saying that Shaper Guardian fragments will yield the greatest amount of profits from a Shaper Guardian farm. However, I will say that the fragment drops off of the second Guardian spawned in each map is what really boosted the amount of profits from this strategy. Throughout my 16 Shaper Guardian maps, I was able to drop a total of 24 Guardian fragments, so we could say that a second fragment will drop in each map about 50% of the time. At the time of this recording, Shaper Guardian fragments sold for around 10 chaos each, which is generally how much they go for towards mid-league in the past. However, in greater quantities, you could usually sell them in bulk for around 10 to 20% more than the market price. On top of the consistent source of Guardian fragments, there would also be occasional Maven's invitations that would drop. Depending on the type of invitation drops, you could make anywhere between 10 to 30 chaos per invitation. In my runs, I was able to drop 2 Forgotten invitations which go for 10 chaos each, 1 Twisted invitation which went for 25 chaos, and 2 Formed invitations which went for 30 chaos each. So yeah, on top of the Guardian fragments that were piling up, the Maven's invitations will also add up quite a bit of profits too. Beyond Guardian Fragments and Maven's Invitations, however, there were also a number of other notable items that dropped during my farming session. Among the most notable drops was an Augmented Distant Memory map that went for 45 chaos, an Exalted Orb drop which was worth around 115 chaos at the time, and a Singular Delirium Orb that went for 28 chaos. Obviously, when it comes to higher ticket drops like these, none of them are ever individually guaranteed, but over the course of many farming sessions, you will undoubtedly encounter other high ticket items that are worth about the same. Now of course, a lot of you guys may be wondering, should you farm Shaper Guardian maps? In short, yes. Although the reasons for why you should or shouldn't give this strategy a try are a bit more complex. Obviously, if you have a build that simply cannot handle higher tier content, or you just enjoy playing builds that don't really push the limits of that type of content, this strategy may not be for you. However, there are many good reasons for why Shaper Guardians have become such a staple amongst the PoE community. During League start, many veteran players generally aim to reach Shaper Guardians in order to begin collecting fragments. By farming out many of these early on, they are able to build up a budget for their mid-league builds at a rate that is nearly twice or even 3 times as fast as the rates that I had. Not only that, but even when the prices of these fragments start to drop out towards mid-league, the strategy still yields quite a good amount of profits for those who generally join the league later on. Beyond the profitability of this strategy, farming Shaper Guardians is also both straightforward and versatile in its implementation. If players want a simple farming method that yields great profits, simply run straight to the end of a map, ignoring all encounters and mobs throughout the map, and slay the occupying guardians. However, if players want to adapt this farming method to other strategies like running betrayal encounters, all of the missions, and so on, they can easily combine these strategies to yield even greater profits from each map. Now, I personally haven't tested Guardian farming in conjunction with any other farming methods yet, but you can generally infer that the more strategies you have running simultaneously, the more profits you stand to gain in the long run. So it's definitely been quite a while since I've uploaded anything related to PoE, or anything at all for that matter, but I do want to at least thank those of you who stuck around to watch this video. I've definitely been busier for the past few months with finding a new job and just recently got hired again. So now that my schedule's all scrambled up again with a new job, it'll be a bit of time before I can get back to the regular uploading routine. Hopefully it syncs up perfectly with the start of the next PoE league, as I haven't been able to dabble quite as much in PoE as I would have liked throughout Ultimatum. But yeah, that's all I wanted to share with you guys today in this video. I hope you guys found the data in this video useful, and I hope to see you all again in the next video. Thanks for watching.